time. And in talking to kids when I was very young, I had to be very patient with them if I were to make any progress. I talked about the concept of God. Your concept of God, my concept of God, and his concept of God, so different. I wonder what God is really like, or if there is a God for that matter. And why would God permit war and disease if he's all-loving? It didn't make sense to me. Too many clashes. So I questioned that. Of course, I felt a little uncomfortable during questioning the concept of God. But then reading about the history and evolution of gods, there were many different gods. The God of war, the God of peace, the God of love, which was more like the people that invented them. They behaved, they got angry, they made sacrifices, they created floods when they didn't like the way things were going. And this did not come through as superior intelligence. Primitive people, going back in time, when they saw lightning, they thought that the deity was angry. Why else would it not occur? When a hurricane swept the land, they got rid of certain people in their tribe as a sacrifice, hoping that the gods would not produce a second hurricane. However, if it did occur again, then they sacrificed some of the younger people. Rarely would the chief sacrifice himself, but he's always got a whole line of people ready to sacrifice. So you have that problem with human beings. Anything that occurs beyond their comprehension, they have to invent an excuse for. They have to create gods and demons to account for things, because people come to the leadership of that community. No matter how primitive the tribe, they say, how come bad wind blow people off island? I said, you not behave good. You not make not enough contribution to volcano. Throw your brother-in-law into volcano. Maybe it doesn't erupt then. So if you throw your brother-in-law into the volcano and it still erupts, you have to throw your sister-in-law in. So you get metaphysics. You get religion. You get superstition. Knock wood. Or you wear a rabbit's foot. Just remember that the rabbit had 4 of them. Didn't do him any good. So on down the line, superstition prevails wherever ignorance prevails. Myth is a way of saying to the little guy working out there in the field, when he says, what does all this amount to? I never seem to be getting anywhere. When you kick the bucket, everything is there for you. If you don't get it in this life, you'll get it in the next, if you remain good. The amount of superstition that a culture can absorb would be directly proportionate to the amount of information people have. So in the future, with adequate supply of information, more than that which is given today, considerably more, you don't have, knock wood. Today's my lucky day. When your number is up, it's up. All that will disappear in the future.
I look at this as everything he's doing is to be as being the utmost in spirituality. Instead of looking for a better world later, after you die, it's really building the type of things that all religious teachings talk about here on earth. We don't have to wait till we die for that. We can confront our problems today and not wait for the Messiah to come with the white robe and change things, or not wait till we all go to heaven at a certain time, or those believers that go to heaven at a certain time. We can deal with the problems today. For instance, in religion, they put things on the will of God. If there's an accident, it's the will of God, and it stops you from thinking. It stops you from being innovative. It stops you from thinking about, well, how do we redesign the transportation system so we don't have those problems anymore? So he's worked with priests and he's worked with religious people and kind of expand their horizons a bit so they can be more creative. They look at the environment that shapes people's behavior, and they don't call them good or bad anymore. They think about shaping the environment to get more constructive behavior.
If you were to ask me to redesign the world and the way people live, first thing I would have to do is conduct a survey, find out what we have, how much water do we have, how much people, how much arable land area. After I know that, then I can base the parameters of design on what we have. What you really need is an understanding of the Earth's resources by agronomists, geologists, geophysicists, people who study the Earth. They don't give you their opinion. They say, There's more life in the Antarctic. That's not an opinion, that's a finding. So in the future, no more opinions. Do you have information in this area? No, I don't. Good. Here's where you might get it, or here's how you might go about finding out. Yeah. So I'm saying all people need clean air, clean water, arable land, and a good relationship, a language. So I'm not superimposing frescoes concepts. I'm using the earth as the measure. In other words, we have to live in accordance with the carrying capacity of the earth. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir, it does. I keep wondering about how drastic a social change this is and how totally different our world would be. And yeah, how do you get people to accept it? Yeah.
Okay, here's how we do it. Eventually, all decision-making will be transferred to machines. First, people say, well, I don't know that I'd like machines making decisions. First of all, that's what a scale does. When you go to a butcher shop, the butcher says the chicken weighs 6 pounds. Since you're buying it, that doesn't look like 6 pounds to me. So you grab it, I think it weighs about 4, because you're tense, so it seems to weigh less. Then the scale came in, and we assigned decision-making to the scale. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
So do pilots. When they fly, I think I'm 1.5 miles high. They look at an instrument, and it tells them they're 4,203 feet off the ground. So that is decision made by a machine, because the decision-making by machine is far more accurate. Now, the question normal people ask is, yes, but can a machine be smarter than the designer? Well, I know a little guy that designed a machine to pick up a freight train and empty it. No, he can't do that. Machines are always faster than the designer. You ever see a Coke bottle machine move on the line? The designer, he can't move those bottles. So what is happening in our society? We are automating more and more decision-making and assigning it to machines. Picture a Department of Agriculture as a setup of computers with electrical wiring into the soil, like that. So if the water table drops, that pumps water out there. If the nutrients change, it pumps nutrients. You don't need a guy out there saying, Mr. President, we have a drought out here. And the president says, how bad is it? Well, there are 5,000 homeless. In the next 3 days, there'll be 15,000 homeless. So the president says, So he flies over. He says, yes, you do have a drought. So what? When you connect up the country, all the computers, the production, distribution, agriculture, you have a nervous system which maintains dynamic equilibrium in production and distribution of goods and services without money. The government is right above your head there. If you can turn around and see it, it looks like the globe. That globe there makes all the decisions because it's connected. We have satellites around the Earth that project a hologram, a virtual image of the Earth. So you're looking at the real Earth in real time. So you walk over to the image screens and you talk. You say, how many planes are there in the air at this instant? The computer will hit a laser spot all over the world and tell you 7,320. Every plane in the air, every hurricane, all the conditions all over the Earth, plant diseases. No human can do that. So we don't need people in government. We need electronics in the field, production, distribution, weather, so we can come at home and find out anything we want to know without opinions based on folksy ways.
The future by design is a self-regulated society governed by a cybernated system of supply and demand. Political systems are replaced by tabulating the input of information from the general population and delivering goods and services accordingly. The economic system is similarly based upon the use of all available resources in meeting the needs of the entire culture.
When there's a depression or a dip in the economy and a lot of people don't have money to buy things, there are still goods out there. There's still the ability to produce them. There's still the resources. There's still the farms, and people want to work and make things, but they don't have the money. They can't buy things. So there's something terribly wrong out there. We have a great deal of the Earth's population starving and suffering, and the resources are there. Our ability to produce is there. Our ingenuity is there. Yet some people have a lot and others don't have anything. And today, that's really shameful with our technology. It's really very, very abusive and absurd, because we have all the technology today to produce abundance all over the world for everyone.